want to come back to it for the instructions, you're welcome to do that. So let me just start our recording here. Okay, great. So Lehigh University Art Galleries has over 17,000 works of art in our collection. We have work from all over the world, from Africa, from China, from Italy, France, and Latin America. And we are a free museum that you can visit at any time on our campus. We are located in Zoellner Arts Center, who is our partner here today. We have a few friends from Zoellner, which I'll introduce in a moment. And you can also visit our website at LUAG for LUAG.org for lots of resources and to view some of the works in our collection. I would like to thank Zoellner Arts Center, who is our partner in offering this workshop today. They are a performing arts center that has a ton of really great programs for family, from music to performing arts to theater. We have Candy, who is here today with us, and Lenore with their children, and they help make all of that programming possible. So thank you so much for joining us today. And they are working with Kevin in a school residency in 5 different schools to create their own mobiles that are going to be installed in their schools, just like the ones that we're going to create today. So we're going to start off talking about Alexander Sandy Calder. He was also called Sandy. Alexander Calder was born in Philadelphia, which is not far from here, about an hour and a half. He was, his father was a sculptor, a really famous sculptor, and his mother was a painter. So he comes from a family of artists. They traveled all over the world during his childhood to install various sculptures for his dad. And so Calder was kind of always encouraged to create. He always had a workshop in his house. And the pictures that we see here are from Christmas when he was about 12 years old. Oops, I clicked ahead. When he was about 12 years old, he started creating these sculptures out of metal and kind of tinkering around with different materials that he would find at home. And this duck is kind of one of the first mobile sculptures he created. There's a movable part inside of it. So he was ahead of his time as an artist. And so he didn't originally set out to become an artist. He thought he wanted to study engineering and the way that mechanical machines worked and the way that things were put together, but he always had an interest in creating. So he went to school for art and then decided to kind of pursue, he went to school for, mechanical engineering, but then decided to pursue work as an artist, because during when he was in school, he picked up a side job where he was going out to the circus for this special newspaper to draw the circus and to document it. And here we see some of his images of animals. Do you recognize some of the animals that are in a circus in this drawing here, if you can see it? And this kind of set him on this path of really loving the circus and the idea of what the circus brought to the community and the excitement and the way that the animals moved. And so it inspired him to create his own circus. This is called Calder Circus, and it's a miniature circus that he created using all different materials, wire, metal, and he would travel all over the place from New York City to Paris, bringing this little tiny circus with him and performing with it. So this was before there was performing arts in like a formal way. He was doing this work in different cities all over the world.
And it was so cool because he would do this in people's living rooms. He would do it in people's living rooms. You know, he would set up and he would do this show. It was amazing.
That would be neat to have in your living room.
I know, no kidding.
And we can start to see with the way that he created the circus, that he really liked the idea of line and shape and color and form in his work. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so throughout his lifetime, he became really inspired by the circus. He loved to draw the animals. He loved to represent them in different colors. And so we see one elephant that's a typical elephant color, right? But then we see these really amazing other different colored elephants. And this is a work that we have in the art gallery's collection. It's actually a screen print. So not only did Calder work with line and shape and color to create mobiles and sculpture, but he also created drawings and paintings inspired by his work. He also really enjoyed making these line sculptures. As he was working with wire in the circus, he got inspired to start sculpting portraits of friends and public figures out of wire. So we see one of the portraits that he made here, which led him he met some really famous artists when he was traveling abroad, and they inspired him to start to explore the idea of abstract art. Does anyone here know what abstract art is, or a way that you would describe it? Go ahead, I see a hand up. You can unmute yourself or you can write it in the chat box.
I think abstract art is not really trying to look like something. It's something that doesn't, it's not like an object. It's.
Yes, that is a great way to describe it. So it's not an exact representation or the exact copy of something. It's the way that they might interpret it using different shapes or colors, and it might remind us of things that we know. So it's an abstract concept. Different people might interpret it different ways, or what it means to them. And so he started to explore this idea of abstract art. Has anyone been to the Philadelphia Museum of Art? This is a large mobile that is hanging in the main vestibule. I see some hands up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful mobile. And so he started to play around with the idea of suspending these elements in space and how they can move with the balance and air and movement. And Kevin's going to talk more about this as we develop our own mobiles. But this is a great example of one of Calder's mobiles that he became very famous for creating. So as we look at works of art, we think about the ingredients that go into a recipe, right? As if we're cooking, we have, say we're making cookies, we have milk and flour and butter. Those are the ingredients that go into making cookies. It's the same thing with art. The elements of art are our ingredients, and we're going to look at that today. We have lots of different materials in our folder that can help us look at line, shape, texture, form, space, and color, as well as value. And so you also have a sheet in your packet that explains some of these concepts to you. And as we look at works of art from the Lehigh University collection that we have, these are some Calder prints, we start to see how he was playing around with these elements of art. Does anybody see where there are shapes in these works of art? Do you see some shapes in here? I see Lila and Sawyer have their hand up.
I see a circle.
You see circles? You see circles too? Yeah, we see lots of different circles. So he was playing with the idea of shapes in here. We also see some lines in there, right? Do you see some lines, Brody?
Yeah.
Yeah, we see diagonal lines. We see some horizontal lines in these. And so he was playing with this idea of using the elements of art to make us look at different things. And this is his representation of balloons. So he simplified what a balloon looks like to him with just shapes and line, as well as color. He also created these beautiful giant tapestries. So he would weave wool together to create these tapestries. And we can still see that within different kinds of art, we still use the same ingredients or the same elements of art. We have light, line, shape, and color in this, as well as in this too. And since it's our first day of spring, I thought it was important to include this one because this is called America is Blooming. Go ahead. Does someone want to say something? But we still see, even in this one, he's using shapes and line and color. And now he's starting to play with the principles of art, movement and different types of balance and rhythm in them. He always loved to draw live animal life too. So he always kind of incorporated that in his work. But even in this, we still kind of see how it's almost abstract in the way that he drew it. He was using simple shapes and simple lines and colors. And as we start to build our mobile, Kevin's going to talk to us about the ways that we can balance our shapes, the way that we can create rhythm in our shapes and movements, which is what Calder was really famous for with his work. He created these amazing mobiles and stabiles. Stabiles were kind of attached to the ground that still created this balance and movement. So a famous quote by Alexander Calder is, just as one can compose colors or forms like we talked about and saw in his prints, so one can compose motion. So he was, I really loved this idea of putting things and setting them in motion to help us see it in different ways. So it is my pleasure to introduce Kevin, who is here with us today. Kevin is an actor, a designer, and a visual artist. He's been working with schools all over the countries and community, kind of combining the idea of performance as well as art. And as an artist in residence and going into different communities, he's helped them create their own sculptures and explore these ideas that Alexander Calder used within his work, and Kevin uses as well in his work. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. He's going to help us figure out how to take all these things we got in our envelope here and put them together to make our own work. So Kevin, take it away.
Excellent. Hey guys, why don't you go ahead and just unshare your screen, Stacy, so that I can have the whole group. Oh, there we go. That's terrific. Okay. Whoops.
I spotlighted you. Sorry if I messed up your screen, just so that everyone can see you larger.
That's fine. I still want to see everybody else. Okay, cool. Okay. So that was a wonderful introduction to Alexander Calder. I will say just a couple more things. Alexander Calder created over 10,000 works of art in his life. He was amazing. I mean, he created so much stuff, and he never stopped working until the day he died. He never stopped making stuff every day. He was always trying something new. And you can see from Stacy's description of him how many different kinds of things he did. He made toys, and he made kitchen utensils. He made like forks, handmade wire forks and spatulas. He made beautiful jewelry. He did, as Stacy showed you, these paintings and gouaches and drawings. And then of course he invented the mobile. You know, we've been making art for thousands of years. It wasn't until Alexander Calder came along in the 1930s that we made art that moves. And so everything I do is kind of inspired by him and his work. All right. So today we are going to make a mobile. All right. And with all the stuff that you've got in your, hopefully everybody's got their kit. Everybody's got all their materials in front of them, right? All their stuff, right? Okay. Now, and hopefully you've got some Scotch tape, which would be really, really good to have, as well as scissors. Scissors are not required, but they're great to have because they allow you to, you know, sort of cut things out. You can make different shapes, and you can have some glue. I mean, I don't want to make a big mess with it, but the glue may come in handy as well. Okay, cool. Let me tell you, Calder, he made one discovery. Okay, it turns out what he discovered is that there is only one rule to making a mobile. Okay, one rule. All right. Alexander Calder, he discovered this rule, he perfected it, he bent it, but never broke it. Okay. And that rule is this, and it's going to seem funny. It may seem funny to you, and it may seem funny to your parents as well. Okay. That rule is this: a mobile is made from the bottom to the top. Now you may think, what the heck does he mean by that? You're going to understand exactly what I mean by that at the end of this little workshop. Okay. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create pieces of our mobile. Okay. So I want each of you, with the materials you have in front of you, I want you to each create, you're each going to create 3 pieces of your mobile. Okay. Now, these pieces, couple of things about these pieces that you're going to create. First of all, they can be they can be abstract. They can, you can cut out a bunny or a house or whatever if you want. That's fine. But can also just be cool. Again, as Stacy was talking about, cool lines and shapes and colors, just like the kind of things that Alexander Calder did. Okay, so you can just play. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, each piece that you create is going to be, can be 3-dimensional, right? Doesn't have to be flat. Doesn't have to be like up against a wall, right? And here's the other thing that kind of relates to that: the pieces you create are going to be seen, and think about this, they're going to be seen from all sides. So don't think about, well, I'm going to make my piece and I'm going to put all my cool stuff on one side and then the other side is blank. That's, if you want that, that's fine. But just know that there's no front or back to it. It's going to be seen from all sides. Okay. Last but not least, and this is very important. Each piece, these three pieces that you're going to create, each piece needs to hang from a piece of string, a piece of yarn. Okay, so if I've got this little shape here, okay, and I'm gonna, maybe I'll attach some pieces to it, or I've got my, oh, you got these things, right? What are these? Does anybody know what these are? Callie, what are these called? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Or Sammy?
Pipe cleaner.
Wrong. These are not called pipe cleaners anymore. And your parents are going, what? As you're going, what too? Okay, get this, folks. These are now called chenille stems. That's a really dumb name, I know, but that's what they're called now. Okay, and now you guys know what these are called. They're called chenille. I don't know why they're called. Actually, pipe cleaners used to clean pipes with them, like little pipes that you would smoke, right? And then somebody started playing with the pipe cleaners and realized they bent and made cool, funny shapes. And then someone said, well, let's make them colored. And then someone said, hey, let's make them longer. And so that's what ended up with these, but people still call them pipe cleaners, when in fact, they're now called chenille stems. Okay, so we've got all these cool shapes and chenille stems and feathers and stuff like that. Okay, let me see. So it can be abstract, it can be 3 dimensions, but it needs to hang from a piece of string. So if I've got my little foam shape here, and maybe I'm going to put some
3 pieces of string
or whatever.
and
Watch this, guys. I'm going to take my pair of scissors, and I'm going to put a little hole in it just like that. Okay, and I'm going to there are a couple of ways to attach a piece of string to it. I can just do that, right, and then tie the piece of string off. Right, so that's one way to do it. So there you go, and that's the start of, that might be the start of a piece, right? I'm going to add some pieces of some pipe cleaners and maybe tape on some feathers and some foam shapes to it. But maybe that's the start of the piece. Or I could make a piece like just with like 3 or 4 of these, right? But if I do that, I want to still hang it from a piece of string, right? So 4 things to remember. Number 1, four fingers. Number 1, it can be abstract. Number 2, it's going to be seen from all sides. Number 3, it can be 3-dimensional, right? The sticky shape, I mean the shapes and the pipe cleaners can go all different ways. And number 4, it's got to hang. Each piece you create's got to hang from a piece of string. Okay, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to create these 3 pieces. Okay, are you guys ready? Anybody? If you're ready, give me a thumbs up. All righty. Okay, everybody, go. If I had music, I would do music. Otherwise, I could just sing.
I can put music on.
I won't do that.
Is there music that goes along with Calder that I could put on?
Actually, you know, Calder, Eric, I know this is kind of odd, but Eric Satie, the piano music, I mean, you can put on anything, jazz, anything. But Eric Satie and Calder were friends of each other. Well, no, they were colleagues, they were acquaintances. And Eric Satie was a piano player, or composer, excuse me, back in the same time when Calder lived. And Eric Satie, there were critics who said that Eric Satie was to music what Calder was to art. Okay, and the phrase that one of the critics used was, oh yeah, delightful irreverence. He, you know, both of them really like to play with the form. They really like to try something new and really play with things. And so Eric Satie's music, when people look at Calder's art, many times they you know, there are times where Eric Satie's piano music specifically comes to mind, and Claude Debussy as well.
I see that one of his albums is called Colorful, so that sounds like it would be a good fit.
Yeah, oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to start making my pieces as well. All right.
Ils se disent de jolies choses, des choses modernes.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, cool.
Qu'allez-vous?
There's French in
Suis-je
there.
pas aimable? Laissez-moi. Vous avez de gros yeux. Je voudrais être dans la lune.
The little bit of French. Another thing about Alexander Calder, really kind of interesting thing. The term mobile, right? Alexander Calder didn't come up with that term.
Le poète.
He was in France. You know, the thing about it, Calder spent the last 30 years of his life commuting between his studio in in Roxbury, Connecticut, and his studio in Sachet, France. He's one of the best well-known American artists, certainly, who ever lived in France. But he spent a lot of his time in France and back and forth and things like that. And so in the 30s, he was with all these other really wild French and Spanish artists, Joan Moreau, Fernand Laguerre. That piece of wire, that wire portrait was Fernand Laguerre, a painter. Picasso, Duchamp, a whole bunch of other artists. Okay, so Alexander Calder was in his studio, and he began making these pieces of art that moved all by themselves. And so Marcel Duchamp, who is again a very famous artist, walked into his studio one day, and Calder was working on these, and Duchamp said, "What are you doing? What is this?" You know. And Calder said, "I don't know. I'm playing with shape and form and color and line and movement." And it was Duchamp who said mobile, which is French for like with the ability to move, right? Like a mobile phone, right? That's a phone that can move, right? An automobile, that's a car that can move, right? Mobility, right, is the ability to move. Comes from the Latin word mobile, which means to move. So it was Duchamp who came up with the name, and I think then Calder later came up with the name Stabile because he created a lot of these gigantic sculptures that don't move, but they come from the ground, as Stacy mentioned. So that's how that. Okay, now I'm going to make.
Try different.
How's everybody doing? Are people making their pieces? I'm going to give you, let me see here. I'm going to give you, I'm going to be very generous. Oh, excellent. Oh, Sammy, is that Sammy? Sammy, these are wonderful. Kate, let me see yours. Oh my gosh, I love the feathers coming off. Oh my gosh, you guys are so talented. This is amazing. Okay, here's mine. There's mine. Oh, it's kind of big. I'll make it a little small. I just made one all out of, I made one piece all out of chenille stems. Okay. Put it aside. So if you've got one done, you should make two more. Stick some feathers on it. I love those feathers. And then if you want to use like a little bit of glue to put on the shape, okay? If I use a little tiny bit of glue on my shape like this, right? I use a little bit of tiny bit of glue, just a tiny bit. Actually, that's too much. See, that's not very much glue, right? A little tiny bit of glue. But I put a little tiny bit of glue and I put this right on there and then stick it on. Practice this. There you go, and it'll stay, right? Okay, so that's one way to do it. Or you can just tape it on. Oh, and you can also, you want to make sure you have, let's see. When you're using your little pieces of yarn, you want to have each piece wants to hang from a piece of yarn, but you also want to make sure you have 3 more pieces of yarn left over, right? This is going to help you put your mobile together. Okay, so I'm going to use my 3 pieces of yarn to hang the piece on, but I want to make sure I've got at least 3 pieces left over. Okay. Okay. To help put your mobile together. Put feathers on this side too. Oh, I recognize that settee.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Great. It says start your day with Sati. I think I
Oh, is that
might start my day with this from now on.
Yeah, well, settee is a really, really interesting. When we did our play about a performance about Calder, we used almost exclusively Satie's work.
Beautiful.
I can also, if I want to like this is like looks a little square to me, so I'm just going to cut a little curve in it, right? Again, you can use your scissors, you can cut the shapes, you can do all kinds of things. Okay, that's my number 2. I love chenille stems. They're so fun to work with.
It's going to take some getting used to calling them chenille stems.
I know. I sometimes slip up. Well, you just heard me a few minutes ago. I sometimes slip up and call them pipe cleaners because that's what they really, traditionally, everyone calls them that. But again, how can this be a pipe cleaner? I mean, how can you think about this is not a pipe cleaner, right? Well, even now, like those flat sticks that you use, they call them craft sticks, right? They're flat and they've got the little rounded tops, the little rounded bottoms, right? Those used to be called tongue depressors. Right? This guy, oh gosh, this guy's turning out great.
Everyone looks like they're focusing.
I know. Okay, I'm going to give you, because I'm a generous guy, I'm going to give you 3 more minutes. Okay, so if you're only working on one, if you've only got one piece done, you're behind. Okay, I want you to get all 3 pieces done. How many of you? Let's see, just a show of hands or whatever. How many of you have all 3 pieces done? Oh, excellent! I'm seeing some hands. Oh, terrific. Okay, keep it coming. Keep it coming. Those of you who have just 2 pieces done, you're doing great. Those of you who have 1 piece done, you need to start speeding up. I want to try and keep everybody on task so that we can make these mobiles and be done. Whoops, and be done. I've got 1 more piece, but I'm finishing my 3rd. This is my 3rd piece. And I'm tying on my piece of string to it right now. There it is. Oh, that's the other thing I should probably show you. Behind me is a mobile. I'll show you it. I'll show it to you here. Whoa. Yeah. Can you see it moving? There it is. And you can see it's actually if you saw some of the if you saw some of the pictures that Stacy showed you, this looks like it's very much like a kind of mobile that Calder would do. It's not a copy of his by any stretch, but it's sort of inspired by him again. And this mobile is actually a model. It's a model of a larger one. I made a larger version of this that is 17 feet across.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, part of our play.
Big mobile.
Yeah, big mobile. All right. When you're done with all your pieces, I want you to take all the materials you haven't done, keep them, don't throw them away, but put them to the side. The materials you haven't used. Okay, I've got some materials here that I haven't used, so I'm putting them to the side. Put those materials to the side, right? And so all you're going to have in front of you ultimately, except the yarn. Any yarn you have left, keep that in front of you. Okay. So keep I want you to have your yarn in front of you. Here, I'm going to take my yarn, bring it back. There's my yarn. I'm bringing it back in front of me. So I'm going to have my yarn in front of me. And I'm going to have, I don't need my scissors. I don't need glue. But I want to have my yarn, and I want to have my 3 pieces that I've made. 1, 2, 3, okay? And I want to have my 2 pieces of wire, okay? The 2 pieces of wire that you got in your kit, okay? I want to have all of those.
There should be a long one and a short one.
Yeah, there should be a long one and a short one. Okay. All righty. So how are we doing? I'm going to give you guys, well, no, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. How are we doing? Do we all have our 3 pieces done? I'm seeing them. Great. Okay. Who is there anybody, if there's anybody who's like really behind or doesn't have theirs done, can you wave to me or are you almost done? Is everybody almost done? Are we all like thumbs up? Are we all done? Excellent. Okay, great. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to give you 30 more seconds to finish your 3rd piece. All right, then we're going to move on and make our mobile.
Go ahead.
Can I please have some more time?
Who's this?
Rose.
Rose. Okay, okay, Rose. How much more time do you need?
At least 5 minutes.
Okay, that could be challenging. I'm going to give you 2, only because I'm a really, really nice guy.
Okay.
Okay, good. I'm glad you agreed to 2. It's okay, Rose. You know what, Rose? Even if you're a little bit behind, it's okay. Okay, you're still going to understand everything, and you're going to be able to make your mobile. Okay, so don't worry about it.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
can always keep working on your mobile.
Absolutely,
when you're-
absolutely.
Lots of great colors in these.
Oh man, I'm seeing so many cool pieces. Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Ooh, Summer, that looks great. Oh, I love those.
Some of us are more perfectionists than others. Wow, look at these. Now, are they all hanging from, is yours hanging from, Lila and Sawyer, is yours hanging from a piece of string? Are your pieces hanging from a piece of string? Oh, excellent. Excellent, sorry, thumbs up. Lila, is yours hanging from a piece of string?
Oh, look how cool those are.
Okay,
Amy
these
White.
are great. These are terrific. Okay, all righty, so here we go. So like I said, a mobile is made from the bottom to the top, okay? So here's what I want you to do. You're gonna take your smaller wire, okay? Your shorter piece of wire, okay? And you're gonna take the 2 pieces that you want at the bottom of your mobile, okay? You got 3 pieces, take 2 of them. Which pieces do I want to go together? Which pieces do I want to be on the bottom of my mobile, okay? So I'm gonna take this piece here, and I'm going to use the top of the string, and I'm gonna thread the string through the loop in the piece of wire and tie it in there. Tie it in there like you tie a double knot, just like that. You see it?
Kevin, did you say that's the longer or the shorter wire?
No, no, we're using the shorter wire right now.
Okay.
That's really important, guys. We're using the shorter wire. Okay, make sure you're using the shorter wire right now. Now I'm going to take another piece, and I'm going to attach it to the other loop. Okay, and I'm going to make 2 knots in it so it doesn't come out. Okay, just like that. Okay, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to figure that out. Okay, so I've got 1 piece hanging from one side, 1 piece hanging from the other. You got a 3rd piece. Don't worry about that piece right now. Just worry about these 2 pieces and your piece of wire and the fact that you're hanging. But you can see, I can see right now, even just looking at this, you see how easily they're moving, right? Because they're hanging from a piece of string. So it makes them move really, really easily.
And Kevin, they can be different lengths, right? Like one.
Absolutely. You can see mine are much different lengths. They don't have to, in fact, and don't even have to be the same weight. Okay. Some of you might have one, oh, mine's so small. Don't worry about that. Put the small one on one side and a great big one on the other. That's fine too, right? Don't have to feel like they're the same size. Where's my tape? Oh,
These look great so far.
that's the other thing you're going to need is your Scotch tape.
Wow, Brody. I see yours in the front. Very cool.
These are all doing well. Everybody hold
Brother's
yours up so I
brother.
can make sure everybody's got their two pieces attached.
Your brother, sorry.
Nice. Excellent. I'm seeing the great.
Hi.
Excellent. I'm seeing them. I want to make sure that all of them are attached. Oh, nice. Lizzie, thank you. Rose, those look great.
Where's yours, honey? Where's yours?
Great. Wow. Sawyer, that's cool. Those are cool. Great. Okay, so we've got all of these. Now, watch this, guys.
Wait, where's my other one?
What's that?
It's on there.
Okay. And again, don't worry about your third piece. We're just focusing on this piece right here, right now. Watch this, guys. I'm going to use my finger.
Mute us.
Okay. I need everybody paying attention. This is really important what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to use my finger. Watch. And I'm going to find the balance point. Check this out. There it is, right there. I just used my finger and I found the balance point. Do you see that? Can everybody do that? Using your finger? Let me see. Can I show it? Maybe that's a little bit better. I'm trying to find a way to show it so that you can see how my finger's balancing it. You see that? It's balancing on there like that. Okay. Okay. Now, when you found that balance point, you're going to take one of your pieces of string. Okay. And I want you to tie it on that balance point. Now, that may mean taking the piece of string like this and just tying it around the piece of wire right now, right? Just get it tied around the piece of wire nice and tight. Okay, and now I got to adjust it. Now I want to adjust it so that it actually is on that balance. See, there it is. Look at that. See, I found the balance point. Now, when I do that, I want to take I'm going to take some tape, some Scotch tape. There it is. There it is, right there. And I'm going to put the Scotch tape right on that piece of string. Right? Right on this piece of string, right here. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to put that piece of Scotch tape right there. And I'm going to just scrunch it up around there so that now it's not going to move, because that's really important. I don't want that piece that that piece of string that I just put on the piece of wire, I don't want it to move around. Okay? So I want to get everybody with this. You've got your two pieces on there. And now it's hanging from another piece of string, right? And you found that balance point, okay? Let's everybody do that. Sawyer, how you doing? Sawyer, can I see yours? Okay, fine, thumbs up. But he's getting some help. Terrific.
This part's not easy.
No, this is the tricky part. This is one of the tricky parts. Everybody got it? I want to make sure everybody's got their great, Stacy, you're doing good. Very good. Here, you know what? Let me show you some kind of a cool way to kind of a hack, as they say. Check this out. Watch, guys. If this isn't quite balanced, watch what I'm going to do. Everybody look at this. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend this, whoop, like that. And all of a sudden it balances a little bit better just by bending it like this. You see, which is something Calder would do. Let me see, Sawyer.
Were we supposed to use the big one?
Huh?
Which one were we supposed to use? The small
The
one?
small one. The small
Oh.
one first.
Okay, good. Thanks.
The small one first. Yes.
Oh, these look great.
Oh my gosh, these look fantastic.
Future
Is
engineer.
everybody- Looks like everybody's got theirs. Looks like Chloe, you've got yours. Austin and Eliza, can I see one of yours? If not both.
Are you coming to make one?
Cool. Okay, excellent. Excellent. These are all fantastic. Lizzie, thank you. Okay, cool. Now, what I want you to do, guys, is I want you to take this and I want you to put it down on your, on your workspace. I want you to put it down and let go of it. Okay. Now you're going to take your longer piece of wire. Okay. See this? This is my longer piece of wire. Okay. And you're going to take your last piece, right? And I'm going to now do like I did with the other one. I'm going to thread one, I'm going to thread the yarn through one side. So now I've got it on one side. You see that? Okay. It's hanging. This is now the longer piece of wire, and it's hanging from, and my third piece, my third and final piece is hanging from one side. Everybody got that? No. Okay. Rose is working on it. Austin is working on it. You got it? Austin, Eliza, you got it? No, but you're working on it. Are you working on it? Great, Chloe, great, terrific, thank you. Brody, oh wait, oh, Brody, that's terrific. Is that Brody? Yeah. It's not.
No, it's Grayson. I'm with my cousins and my brother.
Okay, cool. Gracie, whoever it is. That's great. Okay, everybody got that? Yes. Now look at Sawyer's got both of these. Okay, now watch this, guys. I've got my piece of wire with my one piece on it, right? And now I've got my other piece with my two pieces on it. I've now picked that up. I've got both of them, okay? I'm going to take my string from my other piece and I'm going to attach it to the other loop on my larger piece of wire. Okay, and I'm going to tie that on there. Okay, so now again I've got one piece on one side and then what I've made so far hanging from the other side. Right, you see that? Can you guys see that? You got to figure it out. How you doing, Lizzie? Oh, excellent, Chloe, excellent. Sawyer, how you doing? Oh, he's getting some help. That is terrific. Stacy, how are you doing? Good. Excellent, excellent. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I don't know where they are. Okay. Are we getting everybody? Ellie and Antonios, are we getting everybody? Okay, good. Terrific. I'm going to give you one more minute to do that. Terrific. And now, watch this, guys. Using my finger, just like you used your finger the other one, using my finger, I'm going to find a new balance point along this new piece of wire. Watch. It's not in the middle anymore, right? It's way over on the side. Check it out. Look at that. I found the balance point. Let me see if I can move it closer to you. There it is, right there. See? Right? There it is. Now you want to make sure the whole thing's flying, right? But there's my new balance point. And so when I found that new balance point, I'm going to take another piece of, a piece of string that people can see, another piece of string, and I'm going to attach it to that new balance point. Okay. Okay, now I've got to, I want to slide that into shape, into position a little bit here because it's a little bit off balance. All right, there's mine right there. Okay, and look how it's moving. Now I want to take, I don't want that one to slide around on that piece of wire either. So I'm going to take my little piece of tape right there, and I'll put a piece of tape right underneath the my balance point, and I'm going to put that tape and scrunch it all there. Okay, so now that's not going to slide around anymore, right? There we go. See, there are all of my pieces, and they're all hanging from my piece of wire. Let me back this up a little bit so you can see it. Can you, there it is. There it is. Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to take the top of my string here. I'm going to loop it put a little loop on it so I can hang it on something. Just like that. Now I can hang that from a little hook. Okay. So how are we all doing with that? This is really the kind of the hard part. And again, we can use our little hack. Okay, I can take this piece of wire and bend it a little bit like that. See? So again, it's bent now, which is fine. It still looks great. Right? Let me see how everybody's doing. Let me see, Chloe. Oh, look at you, Chloe. That looks great. You got all three pieces. And look how much it moves now, right? Rose, let me see yours. Oh, is that Mary or is that? Yes, Mary, yours looks really cool. My goodness. It looks like you used every piece of materials you have, right? Which is, oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. Let me, Summer, let me see yours. Those look great. Yeah, Lizzie, looks like you're a little tangled. Get yourself untangled there. Ellie, and oh, wow, guys, these look so cool. Sawyer, look at yours. Look at that. Now take a piece of tape and tie it around the top of that on top of that piece of wire, right? Put a piece of tape where that last balance point is. Okay, put a piece of tape there. Yeah, there you go. Put a piece of tape there so it won't move around because it slides around. Oh, it is there. There's a piece of tape there. Okay, cool. Well, make sure it's right on there. All right, guys, these look so cool. Let me see, Gracie or whoever. Okay, wait. Lizzie, how you doing? Oh, okay. Let me see what you've got. Looks like things just got a little tangled up. Oh, okay. All right. Well, you got to get the first one, the bottom one, you got to get that one balanced first, right? And then if you want to attach it, yes, get that. You got the balance point. Good. Okay, great. Let me see that one. Let me see just that one there. That's great. Now take your string. Okay, you attached it there. Now, do you have the other piece attached? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, you see, the thing you got, Lizzie, is that yours is really, really tall, right? Right? Okay, cool. But that means we need to let it be tall, right? So almost want to stand up and let it go. Let the bottom part hang on the bottom, right? And then, but then that last piece of wire that you had in your hand, when everything's got to be flying, everything's got to be off the ground. It can't be on the ground, on your desk or anything like that. Otherwise, you can't find the balance point, right? Right? So get it all really tall, and then find the final balance point on that last piece of wire. You just had real long pieces of string. How are you doing, guys? Brody and Gracie and whoever. You guys doing good? You guys doing good? You can unmute yourselves. Okay.
Good.
Good. Okay, great. Great. Yeah. Now, okay, so this is a great time. Oh, great. Ellie and Antonio, you're doing great. Those are great. Now, if you want, you can see that it's not quite flat. Use my little hack idea. Bend the wire a little bit, just for grins. Nice. So, oh, look at that. Look, what you know what I'm seeing? What I'm seeing, and with Austin and Eliza, I mean, there's so much movement on my screen right now, right? Look at you, Sawyer. That looks great. Oh, you made two. Oh, I see. Sawyer and Lila both. Oh, man, these look great. Guys, you did such a good job. These are fantastic. Does anybody, while we have a little more time left, does anybody have any questions about making mobiles or anything like that? I want to show you one more cool thing. Yes, Sawyer, yes. What's your question?
Hi. It's cool that you can make mobiles.
Oh, it's cool to make mobiles. Boy, I can't agree more. I can't agree more. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? You were raising your hand. Somebody's raising their hand over there. Ellie, Antonios, are you raising your hand or are you just stretching? Maybe you're just stretching. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'll go on the chat here. Okay.
Okay, and wait, she has a question. All right, go.
Who has a question?
Allie.
Ellie, what's your question?
My question is, why was he a great artist?
Whoosh. Why was Alexander Calder a great artist? I think that's a great question. You know, what makes a great artist, right? What makes a great artist? Does it make a great artist that they made a whole bunch of pieces of art? Does it make a great artist that they became very famous and that their art is in museums? I don't know. That's a good question, though. I think Alexander Calder was a great artist because, again, we've been making art for thousands of years. And it wasn't until Alexander Calder came along in the 1930s that we began to make art that moves. Anytime you see a mobile, anytime you see a mobile over a baby's crib, anytime you see a mobile in a store that somebody else made, all of the artists who created those mobiles are standing on the shoulders of Alexander Calder. He was the guy who did it first and then proceeded to do it a whole bunch more. Again, he made, I don't know how many mobiles he actually made, certainly hundreds, perhaps even thousands, because he made a lot of miniatures as well. He was just, again, an amazing artist. And that mobile that's in the Philadelphia Museum of Art is a beautiful piece. Interesting story about the mobile in the Museum of Art. If you walk up the steps, all those steps to the Museum of Art, right? There's a big fountain in the front of the Museum of Art. That fountain was created by Alexander Sterling Calder, Alexander Calder's father. Okay, and if you look back behind you to the top of the Capitol building, no, City Hall, excuse me, the top of City Hall, there's a big statue of William Penn at the top of City Hall in downtown Philadelphia. That statue, there's no plaque. I mean, it's a long way away, right? It's up at the top of a building. That statue was created by Alexander Milne Calder, Alexander Calder's grandfather. So Alexander Calder came from a long line of artists. Again, his grandfather was named Alexander Milne Calder. His father was named Alexander Sterling Calder. And so they called him Sterling because they didn't want to confuse him and his father, right? Alexander Calder, our Alexander Calder, the one that invented the mobile, they didn't give him a middle name. That's why his nickname is Sandy, because they didn't want to confuse him with his father or his grandfather. So they nicknamed him. So that's what everybody called him, Sandy Calder. Everybody called him. Yeah, again, an amazing guy. Great. Well, thank you guys. This has been so much fun. Does anybody else have any other questions? Did you enjoy yourselves? Was this fun? Thumbs up? Yeah? All right. Cool.
Can we take a group photo of everybody holding up their creations?
Oh, what a great idea. What a great idea.
Everybody hold them up. Ready? And say cheese or say Calder. One.
I bet most say mobile.
A second to get set up in the.
Say, on three, we'll say mobile.
1, 2, 3. I'll take a couple.
Okay, mobile. Everybody say mobile. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Mobile.
So we have lots of future creators, inventors, engineers here. You all know now how to create your own mobiles, and you can make as many as you want, maybe thousands. Like,
and here's the other thing. You know what? I'm going to show you one cool little thing at the end. Okay, so here's what I made, right? If I wanted to add something more to this mobile, I could do that, right? I could add something to the top, right? If I wanted to add this stick, just for grins, right? If I want to add this pipe cleaner or chenille stem, whatever it is, right? I wanted to add that to there, right? Look at that. I'm adding it to the top. That's the most important thing because it doesn't change anything. Whoops. I can add it to the top. Point. It's very funky. There it is right there, right? If I hang something from here, I'm going to be able to find another balance point along here somewhere, right? So you can add things to your mobiles. Okay, largest mobile is White Cascade. Really?
That's what Google tells me.
His largest mobile is White Cascade. I thought his largest one was, I'm honestly curious here. I thought his largest one was the mobile that's that was in his, that is at the National Gallery. Oh, and now see, he made a lot of other really big sculptures, but I think his largest mobile, and I'm not sure about this, but his largest mobile is it may be sort of a competition between White Cascade and the mobile that he created. Here's the thing: there's a mobile at the National Gallery of Art, okay, and it's gigantic. It's 90 feet across. All right. Interesting thing here, folks. The mobile that he created at the National Gallery of Art. If you go where I live, Washington D.C., if you go to the National Gallery of Art, there's a great huge mobile there. If you go and see the plaque, it says Untitled 1976. And do you know why it was untitled? Because Alexander Calder died before it was finished. He never saw it complete. And so because of that, he never gave it a name. And so to this day, it doesn't have a name. Sawyer, you had a question.
I made a mobile before.
You made mobiles before? Well, that from the look of your mobile, I can tell. It looks pretty cool. Okay, let me see here. Where, Sammy and Cal, where can you buy a wire like this? This could be a fun activity for a Girl Scout troop. Okay, yes. To the person who asked that question. This wire is called welding rod. You can buy it from a welding supply store. It comes in 3-foot lengths. This rod is 16th inch. But you know what? And this rod is fine. You can use this. There's another kind of wire you can use, especially with Girl Scouts and stuff like that. It's much easier to bend. It's called galvanized iron wire. And you can buy it. It comes in little spools. I'll show you a little. Things like this, right? Okay. Now this is, I think this is 20 gauge. What you want to use to make mobiles like this is either 18 gauge, which again, you can buy almost at any hardware store. No, honestly, it's Ace. Ace hardware is the better one. Lowe's and Home Depot don't seem to have much of a selection of this stuff, but Ace does. They have it in little blister packs. And the 18 gauge is the best stuff. Also, occasionally, Ace hardware stores will have larger rolls. I think they're like this big of 16 gauge. And I've used 16 gauge as well. 16 gauge is basically the thickness. It's 1/16 inch thick. And it's galvanized iron wire. I recommend that because it's got some nice curve to it. I also recommend it because it's much easier to bend than the welding rod. That said, the welding rod's not that expensive. You can order the welding rod from weldingsupply.com. You can get a couple of pounds of it for like $5. It's not that expensive at all. And so the website that if you want to get the welding rod is weldingsupply.com. And the what it's called is, it's called gas rod because it's used with oxyacetylene. It's what welders use to weld other pieces together, but not with an electric torch. I mean, electric. It's not with arc welding, but with gas welding. And so it's called gas rod, and it comes in 3-foot lengths. It comes in 16th inch. It comes in 3/32. It comes in 1/8 inch and even thicker. Okay. I hope that answered your question.
That's great, Kevin. And I will include information and links in the email that goes out with the recording from our workshop today. So
Sure.
if people are interested in ordering additional supplies, you can do that. And Kevin, you had mentioned you can use, though it's harder because you need to cut it, like the wire from a hanger.
Oh, yes, yes, you can use coat hanger wire. It is a little more difficult to cut. The coat hanger wire is thicker than the 16th inch welding rod, but basically it's the same kind of metal. It's what's called a mild steel. But yeah, no, you can use wire hangers. But yeah, I've used them before. That's very possible. That's very possible. That's a way to do it. But it's a little harder to cut. You need a really good pair of pliers. And then you've got to bend the little loops at the end But yeah, you can do that with your Girl Scouts or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Were there any more questions for Kevin?
Nancy, thank you for your comment. An interesting connection between the activity and learning about the artist. That's great. Anybody
Well,
else?
Chloe, did you have a question? No. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today and for creating with us. And thank you so much to Kevin for your time, for leading us through this wonderful activity. Now we are all somewhat mobile experts, so we have to get back to saying like Calder
Absolutely.
and create thousands of them. But thank you all so much. And thank you, Kevin, and thank you to the Zoellner Arts Center team. We are thrilled to have you here today. I hope you can join us for our upcoming workshops. We have one on April 17th and then one on the 15th that connects food and art. So we hope you can join us for all of these. Oh, I see Lizzie likes that. So thank you. Good to see all of you. Happy first day of spring. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you all for coming. You guys were great. It's great
Thank you
playing
so
with you.
much, Kevin.
All righty. Thank you, Stacy.
This was wonderful. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. Take
See you
care.
soon. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay.